Grover Cleveland was born in Caldwell, New Jersey, March 18th, 1837. You follow me? You're sleeping in there. Be quiet. Grover Cleveland spent his boyhood in New York. Grover Cleveland's father had died when Grover Cleveland was 16 years old. No. Oh, Dad. Grover Cleveland worked with his older brother as a clerk in New York City and then as a part-time law student in Buffalo. Grover Cleveland worked as a part-time law student with his older brother in Buffalo. Grover Cleveland passed the bar exam at the age of 22, although he never attended college. Nevertheless, Cleveland earned the reputation as a hardworking lawyer, presenting his arguments in front of the judge and jury strictly from memory. As president, in his inaugural speech, he gave it solely from memory, which no president has ever done before. In 1870, Cleveland was elected sheriff of Erie County. In 1870, Grover Cleveland had attained a savings account of $75,000. He had amassed a sizable body girth. Because of his weight being over 250 pounds, he was known to his friends as Big Steve. Although Cleveland was a sheriff, he always avoided partisan politics. Because of Grover Cleveland's little involvement in politics, he was very surprised to be the Buffalo City Democratic nomination for mayor in 1881. In 1 year, Mayor Cleveland exposed graft and corruption in the city's municipal services, vetoed dozens of pork barrel appropriations, and set a pace for hard work and efficiency that impressed the stakeholders in the Democratic Party. Seeing the advantages of running an upright urban reformer, the Democratic Party nominated Cleveland for governor of New York.
Did you hear you got nominated for the governor of New York?
What? As New York's chief executive from 1882 to 1884, Cleveland used the same tactics that had worked in Buffalo. He vetoed almost everything that was given to him. He had worked longer and harder hours than anyone else in the state government. Within a year, Democrats around the nation were touting him as a fresh face, a political outsider, and a pragmatic reformer who might win the 1884 presidential election.
Did you hear? You might win the 1884 presidential election.
Former New York Governor Grover Cleveland is sworn in and takes office as the 22nd President of the United States. Cleveland is the nation's first Democratic president since James Buchanan. Vice President Thomas Hendricks dies. On January 19, 1886, President Grover Cleveland signed the Presidential Succession Act. This act specified that in the absence of a president and vice president, heads of the executive department would succeed to the presidency in the order in which the departments were created. Starting with the Secretary of State, the Presidential Succession Act of 1886 remained in force until 1947. message to Congress, Cleveland asserts that labor is a vital element of national prosperity and should be a concern of the federal government. He suggests that the creation of a government committee to resolve disputes between labor and capital, making him the first president to ever do so. It is our responsibility. Cleveland recommends to Congress that the nation accept France's gift of the Statue of Liberty. This gift commemorates the alliance between the two countries during the Revolutionary War. The statue will be placed on Liberty Island, adjacent to Ellis Island, off the New Jersey coast. Ellis Island will serve as a welcoming center for the soaring number of immigrants to New York City. We need the Statue of Liberty. Cleveland announces that he used to marry 21-year-old Frances Folsom, touching off a media frenzy. I don't care that I'm 49 and she's 21. I'm in love. On October 8, 1888, President Grover Cleveland signed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which restricted Chinese immigration to the United States. We need to get them out of our country. On November 6, 1888, President Grover Cleveland was defeated in his bid for the re-election by Republican candidate Benjamin Harrison. Although President Cleveland won the popular vote, Harrison won the Electoral College and thus the presidency. In the end, Cleveland won the popular vote by a margin of more than 4,000 votes, but Harrison won the Electoral College 233 to 168, and thus the presidency. The next presidential election in 1892 was a rematch, and Cleveland defeated Harrison and reclaimed the presidency. He thus became the only president to serve non-consecutive terms, winning the office once again after losing in the incumbent. Back to back. Cleveland signs a bill creating the Department of Agriculture. Cleveland signs a bill that turns the territories of North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Washington into states. Benjamin Harrison is inaugurated. In a prophetic statement, Frances Cleveland tells the White House staff that she and Grover Cleveland will return in 4 years. We will be back. We will be back. Quiet down. Quiet down. Cleveland is re-inaugurated after Benjamin Harrison becoming the only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms.
Yeah, when you're feeling low, losing control, I'll walk through the fire to make you whole.
A malignant growth is detected on the roof of Cleveland's Mountain. In a secret operation aboard the yacht Oneida in New York's East River, Cleveland's cancerous growth and a portion of his jaw. He also became a trustee of Princeton University and began writing essays and political commentary, including a book, Presidential Problems, 1904, which focused on some of his most controversial decisions. A severe attack hit him while on vacation in late March 1908, causing him to think that the end was near. Someone help. With great secrecy, he was rushed by automobile to Princeton, where he died on early June 24th. His last words were,
Mr. Cleveland, what are your last words?
I have tried so hard to do right. 2 days later, he was buried. Venezuela indicated that its nation's flags would be flown at half-mast. Theodore Roosevelt's eulogy compared him to a happy warrior, one who had served on honorable terms and who understood that the presidency was a public trust bestowed upon him by the people. Although not a great president, Cleveland almost single-handedly restored and strengthened the power and autonomy of the executive branch. Notable in this regard was his use of the executive privilege and refusing to hand over department files to Congress in the fight over presidential appointments. No president prior to Richard M. Nixon had ever made such an extreme assertion of executive privilege in peacetime. His record-breaking use of the presidential veto also enabled him to reestablish the equilibrium between the executive and legislative branches. Another precedent-setting example of presidential power. Equally important, Cleveland laid claim to a strong presidency in ways that had lasting impact. His assertion of authority in calling out federal troops during the Pullman strike, sending warships to Panama, and threatening Britain with war over the Venezuelan boundary dispute set the tone for the modern energetic executive. Regarding social policy, Cleveland comes across as much more racially intolerant, and certainly when compared to presidents such as Abraham Lincoln, Theodore Roosevelt, and Franklin Roosevelt.